Hey everyone, Wandering Bard here, and one of the habits I got into last year was posting a lot of community polls. I do it about once a week when I had the energy and headspace for it. I didn't get into this habit until partway through the year. There's some random ones interspersed throughout the beginning of the year, but I posted a fair few polls, and obviously because I post them, I can't vote on my own polls. And I also don't like the idea of giving my answer in the poll description because that would kind of sway the vote a bit, and I don't want to do that. So I thought it would be a fun idea for me to go back through the polls that I posted in 2024 and give my answers to them, and also do some from 2025 because they're related to ones that I did in 2024. And for those of you who are wondering why it took me so long to post this is my third attempt to record this video. The footage was lost from the first attempt, and with the second one, there were issues with the recording. So really hoping that this one works out properly, and cheers. This is probably the closest thing I'll ever get to doing a Q&A video, so let me know if you like this kind of style, and what other questions you'd like to see me ask in polls for this year, because I'm going to try and keep that habit going in 2025 as well. Alright, starting off, best female character from Final Fantasy X and X-2. So one of the advantages of this being the third time I'm recording this is that, for one thing, I have since done a male character version of this, which I hadn't done last year. And also, I'm going to be beating Final Fantasy X on stream this weekend on Saturday let me check the date here, Saturday the 15th. So hope to see you guys there if you want to hang out and watch me finish this game for the first time. And my answer is Yuna. I know it's the basic answer, but like, come on, it's gotta be Yuna. She's the best. I am glad Lulu was second because she's another favorite of mine. She's definitely my favorite to use in combat. But character-wise, it's definitely Yuna. I'm curious to see what they do with her in 10-2, because I know it's very different than in 10 original. So I'm interested to see how that goes. Right, who would win this fight? Caius Ballard versus Barnabas Tharm. I figured there'd be bias in this one. Most of my community is Final Fantasy XIII fans, so not surprised by this vote. As far as who do I think would win, it's tricky because they are both technically immortal. Barnabas hasn't lived for as long as Caius has, but he has lived longer than any normal human could because he's Akashic. They can both transform into a really powerful summon. And they're both the best swordsmen in their respective worlds. So I don't know if there's a good answer. I think if it was just a sword fight, Caius would win because he does have more experience. If it were a fight of icons, I think Barnabas would win because of how powerful Odin is in Final Fantasy XVI. That would be my answer. I think in a straight sword fight, it probably would be Caius, but I don't think it would be as foregone a conclusion as this vote maybe gives the impression of. So there is that. Right, so I did a video with an old friend of mine where it was the Would My Friend Let Me Date This Character video, where I had a bunch of female characters from Final Fantasy series. I showed them to her, and just based on the vibe that she got of them, she answered like, would she let me date this person? Because we used to be really involved in each other's love lives. As far as this poll goes, there were 4 characters that we didn't agree on. 3 that she said, go for it, and I said I wouldn't, and 1 that I said I would, and she said, I'm not so sure about that one. That one being Rem Tokimiya. So if you're asking me who my favorite is, it's definitely Rem Tokimiya. But Garnet's a close second, and I'm not surprised that she won the poll because Final Fantasy IX is the best, and Yuffie sucks. So, Final Fantasy VII Advent Children is in theaters today and tomorrow. Yeah, so I was lucky to catch that. I did get to watch it, and I did enjoy the movie. I've seen it before. This was the director's cut, so it was a different experience very slightly, but I did get to watch it, and I do enjoy it. I will say, though, it's not my favorite Final Fantasy movie. I actually like Spirits Within better as a movie, but yeah, no surprise they put that in theaters. I'm glad it finally happened as well. So I'm glad I got to see it. A bunch of people not interested. I hope the people who were thinking about it did get to watch it because it was really good. FF7 Rebirth comes out tomorrow and I'll be able to binge it this time. Yeah, so that comment is related to when I was trying to play Final Fantasy XVI on launch day and I pre-ordered the collector's edition to my house. And USPS didn't do their jobs well, and I got the game 4 days later than it was supposed to arrive, after taking a 4-day weekend that was meant to be to play the game and not getting to play it on any of that weekend. That really sucked. But I obviously was able to play it, so that's my answer. But one thing I want to comment on is so many people in my community at least said I would play it, but I don't have a PS5. And I'm willing to bet it's not just my community. That's part of why, from what I'm hearing, they're moving away from console exclusivity now. Because believe it or not, restricting the platform hurts sales. Who'd have thunk? So really hope that they really are moving away from that, because I think that people having access to the games on whatever console they choose is a good thing. And I think that's something that we should strive for. So I hope that's true. But yeah, I did get to play it, and overall I did like the game. I have issues, I might make a video about that, but I did enjoy the game, and I'm glad that I did get to play it on launch day. So that's really good. Right, so this was my April Fool's Day poll. When I put a Torgal character analysis on April Fool's Day, and yeah, I kind of trolled my viewers with that one. Obviously, Torgal is a good boy. Whatever 7% of my audience said he's not a good boy, needs serious help, my answer would be he's a good boy but down here, just for the sake of being different. Okay, so this poll is really interesting, because I had a version of this poll that I posted earlier that day where I forgot that Ash also got married. I just had Rosa, Yuna, and Luna. And somebody in my chat, someone in the comments posted, hey, don't forget about Ash. And I was like, oh shoot, I forgot about Ash. So I made a new poll. The thing that's funny about it though is that in the original poll where it was just these three, Yuna had the very vast majority of the vote. And then in the revised one, for some reason, everybody voted for Lunafreya. As far as what my vote would be, it's difficult partly because we don't get to see Rosa's dress and like the HD visual that we get to see the rest of them in. So it's hard to know like how it would have looked if it were fully realized, you know? I think that I adore this style of dress. If I ever get married and my wife was walking down the aisle towards me, I would most want to see them in either one of Rosa's style dress or Luna's is freaking beautiful. I'd pick one of those two, but I couldn't decide which one. Not surprised though that Luna got a lot of votes. It's a very wonderful dress. Okay, yeah, so this is another case of my community is full of Final Fantasy fans. So guys, Grievous has lightsabers. They will slice through the swords. I know Gilgamesh has more swords. It does not matter if they are all cut in half. Grievous would win, come on. Favorite starting location in Final Fantasy XIV. So I've heard from people who play the game a lot more than I do that Limsa Lominsa is a really popular AFK zone, and so there are some people who hate it for that reason, because a lot of people just AFK there. If I wasn't determined on playing a Bard character, I would have probably picked Arcanus because Summoner and Scholar is really cool, and that would have put me in Limsa Lominsa, but my character being a Bard starts in Gridania. I love Gridania, so no complaining there. I'd pick one of these two, but Gridania is home for me, so I'd pick Gridania. Not surprised that Ulda got the lowest vote there. Favorite coastal location in Final Fantasy? So I haven't reached Altissia yet in Final Fantasy 15. I don't think I'm far off from it though, so my vote might change. Right now I'd say New Bodom because I haven't reached Altissia yet. Besaid Island is nice, but it's not where I'd want to live, you know? And Costa del Sol is a tourist trap, which is even worse. So I'd say New Bodom right now, but I feel like I'll probably change to Altissia once we get to be there. I just haven't gotten to be there yet. Right, so this poll was from when I used to make Pokemon content on this channel. Nowadays I make it on my second channel, Throwback Gaming. I'll put a link in the description of this video. And yeah, so this was when I was doing a weather-themed Pokemon tournament on stream. And my weather of choice if I got into play in this tournament would have been the Sun team. Rain is more powerful though, so I'm not surprised that that got a lot of votes, but I would pick the Sun team personally. It's the team that has my favorite Pokemon, with Espeon being a good Sun Pokemon. Groudon, I actually do like Groudon more than Kyogre. And I recognize that Kyogre is stronger, but I just like Groudon more. The thing that surprised me is that Hail got more votes than Sand, which means that 13% of people like Ice-type Pokemon, enough to ignore the fact that Ice-type Pokemon are freaking terrible. So that interested me. Sand team did really well in that tournament. It actually beat the Sun team. So really happy for that one, but really surprised that Ice team got more votes. That's really weird to me. Someone please explain. Favorite contribution to the Final Fantasy XIV soundtracks from Susan Calloway? Answer is Dragon Song Revolutions. I have met Susan Calloway, by the way. It was at a Distant World concert. I paid extra for a VIP meet and greet, and I got to meet her and Arnie Roth, the Square Enix music director, and it was really, really cool. So I would say Dragon Song is my answer because Dragon Song feels most like a bard song to me, and it has more of a piano focus that I really adore. I'd actually put Revolutions above Answers personally. Just as a song, I like it more, but Answers is like synonymous with 14, so maybe that's why I got the most votes. But I would pick these two over Answers personally. Sidolphus Telemann thoughts. So whenever I post a character video, I always put a poll asking, hey, what do you think of this character? So that's what this is. And I always have like one really positive answer, one mostly positive answer, a neutral answer, more of an okay answer, then a neutral answer, and then one negative answer. And usually the mostly positive answer gets the most votes, so I'm not surprised that happened here. The thing is, my whole point with that video is that no, he's not perfect. He has made mistakes and he has regrets, but whenever he realized that he was in error, he corrected himself. And whenever he made mistakes, he used them to try and be better. So he's not perfect, but he accepts that and he keeps working towards being the best man he can be, and that's why he's a good mentor. So I would put this option as well. Right, so in my Discord, we were complaining about Final Fantasy X minigames, and I posted a thing saying, what's your least favorite one? Dodging lightning bolts winning is funny because I put a sub goal for January that I'd have to dodge lightning bolts on stream if we hit it. We did hit the sub goal, and so this Friday, right before I try and beat the game, I am going to be doing the punishment stream of trying to dodge a lightning bolt, so subscribe to see that happen. But I'm not looking forward to it, really. Having said that, I would put Chocobo training in first place, and here's why. I did look up how to get ultimate weapons in this game. I looked them up, and I was able to get Wakas, and I was able to get Orans. And I felt bad at first about having to look up where to get the Celestial Mirror and such, until I learned that getting the Celestial Mirror requires you to raise Chocobos and train Chocobos, and the Chocobo training minigame is so terrible that I would never have stuck with it if I had not known that you need to do it to get ultimate weapons. If I had not known that, I would have never stuck with it because I hated it that much. The controls are that bad. So I do not feel bad about looking them up anymore because I would have never found it otherwise. So I'd put training Chocobos as the worst because, like, you have to do it to get the best weapons, and it's so terrible. You can at least just not get Lulus if you don't want to get Lulus, but if you want any of them, you have to do this crap, and this crap is terrible. So Chocobo training is the worst. I will say, though, one of the things about Final Fantasy X for me is that people talk about the minigames being a high point in the game, but for me, so many of the minigames are kind of just bad. Like, dodging lightning bolts is bad, Chocobos are bad, Blitzball gets better the more you play and you get to recruit more people, but at the beginning it's really unbalanced against you and it feels unfun. And I probably wouldn't have stuck with Blitzball either if I had not known that you need to play a lot of Blitzball to get Wakka's ultimate weapon. So I think the minigames are actually not good in 10. For those of you who disagree, please talk to me in the comments, I'd love to hear from you. But that was one thing that surprised me, is I genuinely don't enjoy most of the minigames, not at first. They require taste, which is not good game design in my opinion. Okay, so this poll I feel a bit bad about. This is not a poll that I can answer because this poll was me asking my viewers, like, hey, what do you want to see? The reason I feel bad about it is because I couldn't deliver. I had planned to do a 4-video series on the Fabula Nova Crystallis universe and how the themings of the games in it weave into the philosophies of the gods in this mythos. I had this whole thing planned out and I just needed some more footage to make it happen, and I wasn't able to get my footage, and I was in such a bad headspace at the end of that year with all the work stress that I was going through that I don't even think I would have been able to do those videos justice anyway, even if I had the footage. So I didn't get to make this video series. I do want to this year, but I felt bad because, like, you guys wanted this, you asked for this, and I couldn't deliver. And at the same time, I didn't want to deliver you guys half-done content that I wasn't satisfied with. So that was why that never happened, for those of you who were curious. This next poll is from that because I started playing through Final Fantasy Type 0 for a second time to get the footage I needed after I saw these poll results, and that's why this poll happened. I would put Kingdom of Concordia as my favorite personally because they have beautiful scenery, knowledge, and dragon. You can't beat that. Specifically Concordia when Queen Andoria ruled. When Puppet King of Militesi took over, it became a lot less good, and I can see why people put Vermilion third, but Dominion of Rubrum didn't have great leadership either, for the most part. So, I'm still going Concordia here. Yep, another Type 0 poll, so 14 versus 14, Final Fantasy 6 cast versus Final Fantasy Type 0 cast, who would win? I don't actually know what the good answer is, because the hard thing is, Final Fantasy Type 0 main cast, they are all military trained. They're all trained to fight and to coordinate and to work as a team, which the Final Fantasy 6 cast does not have. Now, there are puzzles in 6 where you have to split into mini parties and coordinate together that way, so in that way they have the experience, but they don't have the training, you know? I think that Final Fantasy 6 cast has some unique traits that would trip up the Type 0 cast, like they have Celeste who can absorb magic, they have Sabin who can suplex a train, we have Terra who is half Esper, so she is basically a being of magic. We even have Gao who can mimic monsters and who could maybe mimic the Type 0 cast. We have Gogo who is a mimic and who could mimic the Type 0 cast. We have blue magic on Strago's side, which they've never dealt with. I think 6 could win just because they have more unique abilities, but in terms of combat prowess, it would definitely be the Type 0 cast is stronger and better coordinated. But I think that they get tripped up by some of the unique powers the Final Fantasy 6 cast has. So that's my thought. Which minigame of these 4 do you wish had a 2-player versus mode? So I do enjoy both Queen's Blood and Blitzball. Blitzball asterisk, Blitzball was not fun at the beginning. It got better as you play more of it. Queen's Blood was just good from the get-go. Having said that, I know that Queen's Blood 2-player mode would be way easier to facilitate, but Blitzball 2-player mode would have been so cool, and I would have loved to see that happen. That would have made Blitzball feel more fun, because you get to play, with even teams. Because the problem with Blitzball is that it starts off, it's way unbalanced against you, and then eventually you get to the point where it's way too easy. And I'd love to see competitive Blitzball with friends would have been really fun. So I'd vote for Blitzball, but Queen's Blood would definitely be easier to do with 2-player versus mode in. Right, another Pokemon poll. Delphox, Chestnut, Greninja, who's the favorite Kalos starter? I picked Greninja because I knew that for my Kanto starter I was going to get the Mega Charizard, so I didn't want to have 2 fire types. But I'd prefer Delphox as a Kalos starter because I love Psychic-type Pokemon, and Delphox is a pro-Psychic type, so that would be my answer. Jill Warwick poll. So this is the only poll I've ever posted for a character where the, okay option was the one that got the most votes, because a lot of people thought that Jill was not a good character. My take on Jill, the cliff notes of my video, is that Jill is not a bad character, but she is an underused one. She is not underwritten. She is a very complete character with a very complete self and her own goals and her own needs, but she definitely doesn't show up well in combat, and they could have weaved her more into certain parts of the story. So I think that she could have been used better, but as a character, I think that she's solid just from a writing a person standpoint. So that would be my answer, but I do understand some of the complaints about her. This I don't get. I think that, I understand being disappointed with the utilization, but I don't think that she deserved that much negativity. That's my take. Yep, this was my least effort poll ever. Pancakes or waffle? So I gravitate towards making pancakes, but when I have the option for waffles, I'm choosing waffles. I like the crunch. That's my take. Favorite Final Fantasy 15 party member. So again, I haven't finished 15 yet. I haven't even reached Altissia yet. So I don't know if my vote will change. So far, I really like Ignis. For a while at the beginning of this poll, Prompto was getting quite a few votes. And I know that some of my chat who were in stream from my 15 playthrough so far really like Prompto. And we got to have a nice little heart-to-heart with him recently too. So I'm looking forward to see what they do with Prompto, but I'd put Ignis so far. We'll see if that changes though. Alright, this should be the last Pokemon poll. Grookey, Scorbunny, or Sobble. My pick is Grookey. I unironically do like a lot of grass-type Pokemon, and like Little Drummer Monkey is so freaking cute that I can't not pick it for my starter. Scorbunny, it makes sense as the answer because most people do prefer the Fire-type starter. And Sobble, I'm surprised to see got more votes than Grookey though. I know Inteleon is good. I know it's a really good, fast, strong Pokemon. Frail, but that's to be expected. But, you know, in terms of starter, I just can't see why people would pick Sobble over Grookey. That's my take. Favorite Kingdom Hearts trio. So this one surprised me too. I dabble in Kingdom Hearts. I haven't played much of it, so there's only so much that I know about it. But I did not expect the Ice Cream Trio to be that beloved. I reached out to a friend who is in the community more, and she was not surprised at all. Apparently, this trio really is just that well liked because what's the game? 358 over 2 days exists, and that sold everyone on this trio. I haven't played it yet, so we will reserve judgment on that one. But that was a cool thing to find out. My answer would have been Wayfinder Trio, because from what I have interacted with in Kingdom Hearts, that's what I've connected with the most. So that would be my answer. But I'm looking forward to seeing why people love these three so much. That'll be really cool. Who would win in a fight? Ace versus Rem, the two characters in my revised tier list who were S tier and that were not l'Cie. So I got a comment on this poll that I think summarizes it really well. They said, gameplay-wise, it would be Rem. Lore-wise, it would probably be Ace, and I think that's completely fair. Ace is one of the ones who was prepared to be Agito by Erasia, so he would have the power advantage lore-wise, but gameplay-wise, I put Ace in S tier because he can survive for a long time. I put Rem in S tier because she can kill things really fast. So I think Rem would win gameplay-wise, but yeah, lore-wise it would be Ace. That's fair. That's very fair. Favorite party role in Final Fantasy XIV, DPS, tank, healer. So my character is DPS, so I'm playing DPS, but my answer would honestly be healer. And I'm really happy to see healer got a lot of votes because I always was the kind of guy who would pick the role that other people don't want to pick, but what needs to be picked. Like in soccer and pickup soccer, I'd always play goalie because someone needs to play goalie. In my Star Wars role-playing game group that I'm in, I'm playing a mechanic because you need a mechanic in a Star Wars role-playing game group, and we didn't have one. And I like playing those, don't get me wrong, but I gravitate towards them partly because we really need them, and usually in my experience, people don't want to play them. People just want to do damage. So it really makes me happy to see a bunch of people did put healer because you need a good healer. And I would feel like most people, in my experience, wouldn't want to play one. So I'm really happy to see that I'm proven wrong on that one. Picked up the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster Collection. What's everyone's favorite classic Final Fantasy game? Final Fantasy VI is my favorite Final Fantasy game, full stop. So that one's really easy. But one thing that got me at the beginning of this poll, Final Fantasy V was actually winning the vote. Which really was interesting to me because the only things I ever hear about Final Fantasy V are the job system is really good, and Gilgamesh. Like, that's really it. So I'm really happy to see people do like 5 as much as they do, because when I do get to play it, I have something to look forward to now. So that'll be really cool. Right, so these next two polls both came from a vacation that I took from work and from streaming, where my best friend came to visit me. We saw Hamilton, and we saw Avatar The Last Airbender in concert. So to take care of that poll first, which one would I enjoy more? It depends what I'm going for. I think that production quality-wise, Hamilton is better, and as a musical theater nerd, I love Hamilton. But as a kid with good taste in TV, I love Avatar. And from a standpoint of interesting to me as a composer of music and from getting to see what the musicians are doing, Avatar reigns supreme there. In fact, if my friend is watching this, I'm really glad that she went with me, partly because I love my friend, but also because she was the one who got me to start paying attention to what the musicians were doing in the background, and I saw some cool stuff because of her. So thank you for doing that. So it would depend this one on what I'm going for. As far as this poll, that's my favorite theater performance, it's gotta be opera Maria and Draco. I love Final Fantasy VI, and you can't beat Maria and Draco. Come on. Okay. Yep. Okay. So this is my most cursed poll. I think most of you probably have seen the Vampire Tifa, Vampire Aerith. I think DeviantArt made these, or at least they popularized it. This is the closest I've ever gotten to a thirst trap poll. So, yeah. As far as like, Aerith's my favorite Final Fantasy character and exactly my type as far as what I'm interested in. So I picked Vampire Aerith. One thing I will say, and this might be me putting way too much thought into this silly poll, but people talk about how, like, why are nice guys attracted to bad girls or good girls attracted to the bad boy, right? The whole conversation about how there's an allure in something that's dangerous or forbidden. I never really understood that until I saw Vampire Aerith, which again is me putting way too much thought into this, but these images were my first time really thinking about the fact that something dangerous could be alluring. It was a bit disquieting, honestly, if I'm being completely honest. But yeah, I'd still pick Aerith. I would be helpless there. Anyway, moving on. Favorite DLC boss fight from Final Fantasy 16. Okay, so one of these two options is my favorite boss fight in the game, and the other one is Leviathan. Leviathan had amazing music, amazing fight, and an amazing DLC to go with it, but I didn't have fun playing it. It felt super unbalanced and against the player to the point where, like, obviously it has to be difficult, right? But it felt playably unbalanced and unfun, at least to me. Omega Weapon was awesome, partly because my only experience with fighting Omega Weapon had been in the 13-2 DLC, where it's the weakest enemy in the Colosseum. So I was really happy to see a fully realized Omega fight, and it felt difficult but balanced, which Leviathan did not, at least to me. So I pick Omega Weapon. It's my favorite boss fight. It's one of, if not my very favorite boss fights in 16. So there's that. All right, so the next bunch of polls are going to be my cute Final Fantasy Creatures tournament. And I did seed this, by the way, so you can probably tell how I seeded some of it. I put Moogle above Tonberry, Chocobo above Ochus, Carbuncle, oh yeah, that was autocorrect, by the way. That should be Cactuar. I put Carbuncle above Cactuar, yeah. And I don't know what I would pick. If we're picking based on cuteness, it would be Torgalpup. Cait Sith is very charming and adorable, but cute factor goes to Torgalpup, is what I would say to that poll. I would personally put Moogle above Chocobo, but when I think of Moogles, I'm really thinking of Mog from 13-2. Someone did point out in the comments here that there have been some great Moogle designs and some really cursed ones as well, but they've never missed with Chocobos, and I think that's completely fair. What interests me here, though, is that in the Moogle versus Chocobo poll, Moogle barely lost. And then we had Carbuncle versus Torgalpup, where Torgalpup won, right? And then Chocobo barely beat Torgalpup, and Chocobo barely beat Moogle, but then did Moogle versus Torgalpup, and Moogle blows it out of the water. So I don't know if we can really decide from these polls what the cutest is, but I think it's just a nucleus of Chocobo, Moogle, and Torgal are the cute ones in Final Fantasy. I think that's what I would conclude from this, because I don't think this is definitive. I think it's just based on who voted that day. That's my take. And the last poll I'm going to do, because it's related to my previous one, is the best male character in Final Fantasy X. So I haven't looked at this one in a bit. I'm not really surprised to see Auron won, because people really like Auron. He's the cool mentor / absolute combat boss character. As far as who is my favorite, it's hard. It's really hard. I don't think I really connected much to any of the male characters in this game. Tidus is the main lead, so of course, like, my inclination is to put him. Wakka interests me from a writing perspective. When I do start doing Final Fantasy X character videos, he's going to be the first one that I do because I already have the script basically written in my head. Kimahri is useless in combat, but really interesting as a character. And Auron is just both good in combat and a cool character. But I couldn't pick. It's between Tidus and Auron for me, yeah. And that's it. Those were my polls from 2024 and from the beginning of 2025. And I'm hoping to make more polls and learn more about what you guys think and share more of my thoughts as well in my videos and in these polls. So please subscribe if you want to see more of this, and check out the Final Fantasy X streams this weekend. It should be a blast. I'm hoping that I actually can beat the game because usually this stream ends when I beat the game. Streams don't go very well for me. So hopefully I've done enough grinding. If not, we'll find out soon enough. But until then, that's all I got. I'll see you later. Have a good one.